That's gotta be
If one goes, they both go.
Hey, there we are.
That is true.
That could be
What are
worse.
we looking at? We're looking at the group online, the group here, and me, my pretty face. Hi, this is the San Carlos Computer Club. I'm Scott Stimson with International Computer Solutions, and we meet every Tuesday in Tequilas to talk tech, starting at 10 a.m. And everybody's welcome to join us. And we've got people that came to Tequilas in-house here. How many people we got? 2, 4. There's 6 of us here in Tequilas.
How much?
And we've got Dad online at the moment. Jim's sitting here next to us, but he's also online.
Just adding to your count.
Yes, just adding to the count in the virtual meeting. And, oh, you know what I don't have up is the document of possible topics. But while I bring that up, I was going to just briefly mention a purchasing experience that I had to begin with. I don't have my credit card at the moment. They were going to send me one. I have successfully received a credit card down here from my bank in Alaska twice before with no issues. Just had to patiently wait for it.
Regular mail? Or
Just
like
regular
FedEx?
mail. Took 30 days. Yeah. Well, this one has not showed up.
Oh, great.
I have no idea.
Second day. Then you get it in 3 days.
Yeah. And did you lock it?
I don't. It is locked though.
Yes.
Yeah, because
yeah.
you haven't activated
You haven't
it.
activated
Yeah,
you have
I
to
would go
activate
So
online.
it just hasn't showed up. But that's inconsequential. That's just background because I've been riding on my debit card, which I'm fine with because I don't like owing money, and so every time I use a credit card, I pay it off, and so it's just like the credit card's kind of like a middleman in my world. But like I started telling you guys before we started, we just got. We just got our plane tickets for Paris, and I'm on the Delta website, and I'm finalizing Emily and my flights. And like I said, Yuya's going from Mexico, but we're going from Alaska. It's like, I don't know, $400
Your
more
daughter's
expensive.
there, right?
Yeah, she's there right now. And so she and I will leave Alaska at the end of June and join her mom and her sister in France for 2 weeks.
Oh, sounds
The,
terrible.
Oh,
I
So-
think you should go through Sonora. Sonora? That's a subject you weren't here for.
oh.
With a couple days in, Culiacan.
I set up the tickets, and I'm doing the payment method, and it says I can use Apple Pay, and I'm like, great, I'll use Apple Pay because my debit card's in there. And I hit it, and it just spins and spins and spins, and nothing happens, and I'm waiting and waiting. I'm like, this is a horrible experience. And the website hasn't been a great experience either. The website has been flaky, up and down. I actually moved between the mobile app and the desktop, trying to have a better experience. And I essentially end up having to set up these arrangements like 3 different times before I can finally start the payment process. And then I hit the payment process.
So are you on your laptop or are you on your...
At this point, I'm on my laptop. Yeah. And it gets a big red failure. And I'm like, what the hell? And so I put it all together, and it says red failure. And then I look at my bank, and it's been declined. And I go to look at my bank.
Apple Pay?
No, this is just, I gave up on Apple Pay on
okay.
my phone. I was just like doing it through putting in my credit card information. So what happened? They were definitely having problems with their website. And what happened next blew my mind. Again, I use a credit card for everything, not a debit card. Delta set aside the money, set aside almost $4,000 in my bank account for the purchase that didn't go through. And
they
all
still-
of a sudden, I'm $4,000 broker.
Yeah, poor.
And
It's just on a temporary hold.
for up to 5 days
No.
if they don't release it. If Delta doesn't release the ability to pull those funds, then it could be held there. The bank told me, yeah, in 5 days it'll expire, and then you'll have access to that money again. I'm like, holy crap, I hadn't even thought of that
Yeah.
kind
no.
of scenario using the debit card, but it locked up $4,000. It's like,
I
oh yeah,
wouldn't
that's
have 4,000.
that's why these others were declined, is because you don't have those funds available to you anymore. Like, and
Wow.
and my bank would, yeah, they would display the balance and then show me like a couple $100 that are available to me. Yeah, I'm like, holy crap, I'm trying to buy plane tickets.
I'm broke.
All of a sudden I'm broke.
Well,
And if you have
And
auto
I,
pay
and I
on
still
anything,
don't have the plane tickets.
I had a similar experience. I was doing my taxes on TurboTax. So I got through and it said, all of a sudden it popped up that I owed $10,000 US dollars to the feds. I'm
Oh.
going, no.
No, that doesn't sound
is
right.
Not at all right. So I called TurboTax. They say, they told me how to go in and clear it out, start over. So I started over and the feds went through fine. And then all of a sudden it said I was getting a $3,000 refund from the state of Colorado. Well, I had barely paid in $3,000.
Yeah.
So I was not really that was not
Not
true. So
gonna
I
happen.
called them again. And they said, well, start over. Third time, it came up with reasonable amounts. So I sent it through, but I'm not very
confident. Yeah.
confident in
Confident.
TurboTax.
My friend just finished his taxes and he said he was mailing them. I said, what?
Yeah.
Because he was using TurboTax.
It was really pretty. I've used it for 3 or 4 years since my tax man died. And
Yeah, I've used it
It's
for
always
25
been
years. I've never had a
fine.
problem. I had a
it
problem
was pretty
signing into NordVPN. It kept, we don't like that credit card, we don't like this one, we don't like PayPal. Finally,
Okay.
and then I realized I had an account from years ago. So,
So you just activated that account?
well, no, I did the 2 years, 70% off.
But it's the same account you had.
Yeah, I guess so, because it's, yeah, the same login. But I had discontinued it. I hadn't used it in years.
But I'm just, and why it just kind of picks at my brain is, if you haven't used it in years, it shouldn't exist. It
I
should be a
would think
brand
so.
new account that
One
you're.
would think so. But they
That,
like
no,
money.
you want legally. Legally,
Okay.
that's the responsibility of Nord to have wiped out that account after a period of time. If they're in compliance with European regulation,
Yeah.
after 6 months of non-use, that account should be gone.
But if it was put into effect before the European protocol,
It would still be held liable for not being
Yeah,
able to
think
do
so.
that. Yeah, I mean the European Union regulation on this stuff is very, very.
yeah. But
Very
it just
clear.
came into being in the U.S. not too long ago, right?
Well, the thing is that they have to be recognizing it, and we get the fallout of it, right? We don't have any U.S. regulations that are requiring it, but it's just I mean, maybe we've reached a point where maintaining software that has a fork like that becomes very expensive. It's kind of like building cars. If California decides that they're going to be fuel efficient vehicles, the rest of the world's getting fuel efficient vehicles. It's just too hard to segregate off lines of cars specifically for regions that would get less economy. They would just need to develop them all in conjunction. And technologies that way, in computers, developing software, it's quite an investment. When the European Union passed the regulations that Apple was going to have to open up their platform to an app store, they've worked very hard to fork that software so that only in the European Union you have that opportunity. Yeah, but it's the same software. And if you were to use a VPN to the European Union, you would be able to install software in your iPhone the same way they are, because it is so the same software that it's too expensive to make it anything but the same software. It's like they built it to be a switch, and to turn on the switch, you just have to tell it you're somewhere else. Which I hope they would never do with a car. It's
Well,
like,
why would you think it would be different?
Well, and you remember Volkswagen felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
With their tests, say their diesel, that whole conspiracy
Mm-hmm.
of their diesel results in California emissions.
Right.
Yeah, just faking the tests. Well, none of that is here nor there. That's just banter. I did bring some topics. Oh, and I did want to finish the flight purchase story
Oh, okay.
because I woke up the next day thinking I was going to spend the day on the phone trying to sort out this mess, because Delta has to do something. They have to acknowledge. They didn't send me an email.
Uh-huh.
They didn't register me in their app. There is nothing that shows that
They're
I'm
helping.
getting a ticket. All I've got is something in my bank saying you don't have $4,000 right now.
Right.
That's all I've got. And so I'm thinking I'm calling Delta. I'm going to spend the day. I've done this dance with them before. It's really hard to talk to a person. They really want you to talk to an AI. They don't even want you to do it on a phone. They keep telling you go back to the website and talk to the AI.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't looking forward to it at all. And the next day, probably 24 hours later, I saw that they had taken money, a completely different charge,
What?
in two different pieces. I'm like, now what's going on? Am I getting scammed? This is crazy. And before I went, I mean, like, I go into the app because I'm looking for the contact phone number, and I see in the app I've got my plane tickets.
Oh, how weird.
Yeah,
Whoa.
just a horrible
So what-
customer
what
experience.
were the two charges that they took, though?
Individual plane tickets.
Yeah.
One
Right.
for me, one for my daughter.
I
It,
still would call Delta.
it was weird.
So you have two different reservation numbers.
No, I have the same reservation number.
Mm.
Maybe it was too big of a dollar amount to do it all in one.
I think
Very
quite
weird.
literally their website was messed up big time, and I think they're cleaning up. They're doing housekeeping afterwards, because I got no record that I purchased these. It was just a horrible experience.
I
Really?
bet.
But you got your 4,000 back, right?
Well, they went towards the tickets. I mean, I'm all confirmed now. I've got
Yeah.
emails confirming it. I've got it in the app. I mean, it's all very legit. But it's like somebody had to come along later and see all these failed things and sort out why they failed and figure out whether they should honor those or unlock the money and make people resubmit tickets.
I guess back to back to back to back. Why did you pay $2,000 a ticket to fly from Anchorage, I guess, to Paris?
Well, it was. I mean, I'm rounding up a
Oh,
bit.
you're
Yeah.
rounding up a bit.
Yeah, but it wasn't too. I mean, what was it? It's like the final bill after tax and everything was like $3,700
Seems
or
like a
something.
lot.
Yeah.
It seems like that seems
Oh.
like a lot too.
Oh wow! You know what was a lot was when we were looking at buying tickets back in November. They were for the same dates, $2,300
Wow.
per person.
And what is
$2,300.
Yuya paying from Mexico?
She is paying almost $500 cheaper.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, from Mexico. And the Delta price is the economical price from the United States,
Wow.
or at least from Anchorage. Yeah.
And you know, summer really isn't high season to go to Paris.
Well, and leaving Anchorage shouldn't be a problem in the middle of June either.
No.
It's everybody's coming, nobody's
Yeah, it's
leaving.
Wow. Shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah, because I keep seeing ads saying fly to Europe for
Right,
500 round trip,
exactly.
but maybe it's
Well,
difficult from Anchorage.
Yeah, part of it's Anchorage.
Yeah.
Part of it is definitely Anchorage. And that's why it was so amazing to get that price. Because we'd basically pay both. We'd pay to fly Yuya up there, and then we'd pay that extra amount. Whereas she can fly from here and save that money, and we can use that money to pay for her flight up to Alaska.
Do you have any airline points or anything that you can get cheaper to the
It's too late now.
U.S.? Yeah, it's too late now, but I would
Yeah,
have
I
checked
haven't-
out flying into the U.S. for cheaper and then flying from
But you
there.
did sign up for Delta Rewards, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've accumulated some mileage, but nothing
Yeah.
significant at the moment. We've got mileage on both Alaska Airlines and on Delta and on American Airlines, I think.
Yeah.
It's just too
And
bad we can't get them
Aeromex?
all together. Hey, Fred, I see your hand up. We've been really casual this morning. Have you got some topics or questions?
I have a question. I'm getting uh, music over your feed.
Oh, you know what? They've left the stereo on in this room.
But I don't hear any music.
Now
You know,
it's
they were playing My Girl there a second
Yeah,
ago.
they
Yeah,
were, yeah.
yeah, they were. We should ask Jonathan if we can turn it down. Unless you don't mind the
they
distraction.
were rocking out to My Girl.
Well, if they could turn it down a hair would be
Yeah,
nice.
Buttercup.
Yeah, let's see if we can get his attention at some point.
They're supposed
I don't
to
see
bring
him
our
at all.
coffee.
Oh, he's out there somewhere.
Whatever the real name is.
We'll all work to remember to get his attention and get him to turn this music down. All right, where'd my mouse go? There we go. Well, yeah, just strange behavior from strange websites during this strange time.
Very strange.
I'll reiterate the stuff as before. Bill of Digital Rights. That's in this document.
I have a question about that.
Oh yeah,
I read it. What are we supposed to do?
comment. Yeah, anything that you see that could be better written or could be clearer, or the real thing that I encourage people to do is to think about something you think is a digital injustice and see if it's covered by the Bill of Rights. So it's something like spam calls or something like unsolicited phone calls or text messages.
The
Think-
latest one I got was, you've got an unpaid toll fee.
I got that too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That comes all the time.
Yeah,
Well,
I've gotten it before.
because this summer I did use the drive-through toll thing going. from
Jonathan,
Denver
can
to
you shut the
Colorado
music
Springs.
off in the back room?
I think.
Yeah. And yeah, I actually just
Yeah.
got that
John, did I get somebody else?
yesterday.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
don't
And
know.
it's saying,
That would be really funny though.
It was on the website.
log in here or respond to avoid losing your license.
Right.
What?
What was that, Jim?
It,
He got the same one.
we
I
get a
did.
spam email
Oh yeah, yeah.
from supposedly from
So
Toll, whoever collects the
Express
tolls.
Toll.
So I do think that we should start talking about them as digital injustices. And I think the spam calls is a very easy
This was an
example.
email, actually.
Yeah.
Or emails, or I think these notifications are an easy thing to point to and look at. But I think this covers things like you bought an Amazon smart speaker and they decide not to give you service anymore. And so that device doesn't have any
I'm sorry.
documentation. There is no third party that's going to pick up those services. You can't configure that device to be used with one of these other services. Say you want to use Google Assistant. You've got a smart speaker. Why can't you just use that with Google Assistant?
right.
And so these are digital injustices. These are things that if we were paying attention to them as consumers and purchasing appropriately and asking appropriately, we would be getting a better quality technology in our lives that would benefit us all. We would all gather more value from them. And that starts by us insisting through regulation that these products are built in a certain way. And that really starts with us educating ourselves and others about what we should be insisting from these products. I think the smart speaker is the next thing to make a really clear statement of what you're expecting from a product. That Amazon smart, the moment you don't have an Amazon account, you can't use that speaker. You can't move it over to something else. And Amazon is so locked into that business model that they're selling them at a loss. So you're buying this cheap appliance. They're trying to build it as cheap as
Is that the
possible.
one you bought?
Well, that's everybody's bought these, right? These Echo speakers. But
Not everybody.
No, they
No, I
haven't.
haven't.
I'm just generalizing, please.
I got
Okay,
one.
I
This is a
have.
nitpicking fest.
I'm with you.
Yeah, you're following what I mean.
I got Amazon things all over the house.
Yeah, they're cheap and disposable, and
be
that's
afraid.
the problem. They're disposable.
We should
They're
be
built
very
to be
afraid.
disposable. They're built to be the cheapest product they can build, so that they can sell you services on the back end.
Now, the mesh system doesn't hear me, does it?
Say again?
The mesh system doesn't hear me.
Doesn't listen to you?
Yeah,
Well,
probably.
That's a
does.
different thing altogether.
Oh, it was.
Well-
because
Yeah.
that's the one I got.
Yeah.
and
Yep.
the Yeah,
I
I mean,
would block that number.
I don't know what to tell you about that. I mean, it is a data network, so it's listening to everything you're doing.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess
true.
he didn't listen.
You what? Yeah, I'm looking at
Well,
whether
I still hear
portage
music.
jug.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
the
just went
person
in
who
the
answered the
Jonathan.
the person who answered the phone, I think, was his mother, who's in the back room.
Oh, Sylvia.
It's
So she was going, huh?
Huh?
Sorry, Fred. We're still trying to get somebody's attention. My best recommendation for the moment is just a dance.
I was going to do that.
How about when Jonathan comes out of the kitchen? How about we throw a salt shaker at
I
him?
went there and I said, "Hey, Jonathan, shut the music off." He said, "Okay."
He probably
And bring more coffee.
and bring more coffee, right? Okay, so yeah, that's what the Bill of
Okay,
Digital Rights is.
delivering
And when you
food.
find yourself frustrated with technology, I'd like you to go look at the Bill of Digital Rights and see if there's something in there
I'll read it
that
again.
would have alleviated that frustration. And if not, maybe that's an inclusion that needs to be amended. Maybe there's one of those points. I mean, I've configured it into 10 points, more from an aesthetics point of view. But maybe there needs to be one more point, or maybe one of those points needs to be rewritten to cover that
Cover that.
that area that you're thinking about. We are the best judges of being offended by the technology that's, I mean, us normal
That is
people.
true.
We need to speak out. We need to make points about how this stuff should be designed.
Along the same lines of the toll, I got one with an attachment that said test.
It said what?
Test. That was the
Test.
subject. Yeah. And I couldn't quite see what the attachment was. I said it was spam. I didn't recognize who sent it.
Hey, Chester, I see your hands up. What would you like to contribute?
I'm picking up considerable interference. Don't know if it's you on your end or my end.
It is our end. We are waiting for somebody to come turn the radio off.
It just happened maybe.
Oh, it's gone. How's that?
No,
Nope.
it's not.
Good, thank you.
Jonathan! Jonathan! He's just walking that way.
He's delivering food.
Oh,
More
Okay,
important,
what happened to the
guess-
camera that normally is at the end of the table so we can
it's at
see
the
all
other end of the
the,
table.
He's paying customers. He's working.
Is that
Yeah,
your
that's right.
mom? Your mom looks great.
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
Jonathan. Oh,
oh, he's going for it.
He's going for it.
He's
Just a
usually
moment.
good
He's-
about coffee.
Jonathan, turn off the music, please. Thank you, sir.
Gracias.
he went right over there and did it. Under that.
Now we know where to go. That's where the Wi-Fi too is.
Yeah.
I probably pushed the wrong button.
Okay, bed and breakfast. I had somebody the other day say, "Hey, we want to stay at your bed and breakfast from San Carlos." I'm like, "Well, I'll give you a 10% discount." So that's my deal. If you're from San Carlos, you get a 10% discount. Get a hold of me. The smartphones for dummies has not progressed into anything yet, but I still attach it to each one of these documents. So if you think of a smartphone topic or question or issue, please add it to this document so that we can continue to track the things that matter to people about smartphones. And we always talk about VPNs. This is a blog post that I'm leaving in the document for a while because we're not recommending ExpressVPN or the other VPN zone. I think that's PIA. Is that right? Yeah. What's the other one?
And
Ghost and Ghost. And this would be a good reason why. So if you're curious why we're not recommending these VPNs, consequently, these are some of the easiest VPNs to install and use and have great customer service. So people would be interested in knowing why we don't want to recommend them.
It seems like NordVPN interferes with my DNS proxy. So I have to
Oh,
shut
it probably
off.
would.
So
Yeah.
I have to shut it off.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to configure it appropriately.
That I probably
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. I wonder if you'd even be able to use a DNS proxy DNS through a NordVPN.
But since it shows me as being
Not
in the
through it.
US,
you can use one or the other
yeah, that's a good point.
when you
But-
turn it.
But when you turn on the Nord connection, is it displacing the manually selected.
Yes.
Well, and
DNS?
it's in the
Okay.
But it's,
Yes.
it's set
Yeah, it
up in the
replaces the
US, but I
DNS,
still can't
yeah.
get Netflix and everything. So I have to switch back to DNS proxy.
You can't get what?
Can't get the shows in Netflix in the US, even though I've set up NordVPN for the US.
Try a different server.
Yeah, because what Jim's saying is that it should be replacing the DNS when
yeah.
it's connected, so it shouldn't need the proxy address that's there by default. Which would be my concern is
Yeah, all
which
all
DNS
VPNs
is being used.
replace the proxy.
Well, replace the locally configured DNS.
Yeah, and when you turn them off, it goes back to the proxy. Depending on how long you had the VPN on, you might have to reactivate your
Yeah.
proxy because they only last a day, 2 days, or if you have an internet reboot.
Right,
Yeah.
right. If you pull a new IP address from
Yeah.
your
And I
internet
have had to
provider.
reactivate.
Yeah,
When you say change server, what do you mean?
another place in the United
Another
States.
US server.
Yeah, another exit
Okay.
node.
And look for one that says optimized for streaming. If,
Ah.
if they do that on Nord, I don't know,
I
but
don't
a lot of them do.
I don't know either.
Thank you.
And I did bring a few topics, some articles I thought were interesting. I thought you guys would find interesting. Somebody suggested this one. Was it Jim or Bill? This body in a box, a biological computer. I think Jim was.
Well, I think I did.
Yeah, you
I
sent
don't
this to me. This
That was
is
yesterday.
yeah.
5 minutes ago.
That's why we write it down.
Then I
Well,
forget
this is-
where it is.
Oh. Yeah, I might have too. I was reading that.
Okay, then Jim did it. not
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I did read it, but
This is some interesting stuff. The using brain cells, developing a biological component to the digital component. They assume they're thinking that this is going to correct a lot of AI issues.
okay.
Sorry.
Human brains in
Still
boxes,
Create their own.
right? Could you imagine a 3D printer printing out brain material
I
to
can-
process
yeah, I can
data?
I can absolutely imagine.
Some real Terminator stuff going on.
Yeah.
A bit Borgish.
Yeah, very much so.
Borgish.
Well, like it seems like the next real step, right, is that yeah, we would absolutely use if we could interact with the brain. The brain is the most complex computer we know of. If we could use that technology to process data, then why wouldn't we use it to run an artificial life form? So pretty soon we're printing out brains to make artificial life forms think for themselves.
And learn it.
Starting to get a headache.
Well, and that's actually in this article. That's the big thing is the learning.
Mhm.
And it has it's a box that has the capacity to learn.
Well, two brains are better than one, so you can carry one
In a bag.
Learn and
Not
adapt.
all the
brain in
time.
the
No, in a
back.
box.
Not all the time.
No, I know. Yeah. You're talking about
That's
spouses?
why we have to have all of our warning labels on containers. We weren't that stupid when we were younger.
No.
See the guy that just died from injecting himself with butterfly wings?
No.
No.
That
Yeah.
can't be real.
Missed that.
Yeah,
That sounds like a lot of work to
He-
accidentally kill yourself. How do
put
you?
it in his leg, he smashed him up and
Did he
injected it into his leg.
For what reason?
And he
Like,
Yeah,
died a
why?
miserable death that took him
4
5 days, 7 days.
5 days to die?
to die.
what
Oh
was
my
he?
And
God.
It was one of those internet
wanted to fly.
challenges.
Oh, a challenge. There you
People
go.
were
People
Oh yeah.
can be stupid.
so stupid.
The eating.
Actually, it's maybe a good thing because there won't be any more of that
Well, yeah,
ATR
it-
going on.
Right.
I mean,
It's
Darwin
it's what I
Award,
it's what I call a
He
self-correcting
may have
problem.
kids already.
Right.
So.
You know, talk like that really
Remove them
puts
from
an
the gene
argument
pool.
for warning labels in jeopardy. It's-
Don't eat Tide Pods either, right?
Yeah,
I
Tide
know
Pods.
you were thinking about it.
It's like the guy.
I don't
that
think
just
anybody
got
was thinking about it.
$50,000 because he burned himself when Starbucks didn't put a lid on his
That's,
coffee right.
yeah.
I can't go
There was
for
something
that.
with McDonald's years ago about,
Yeah, well, this is just
This
recently
is-
though.
well, I mean, you know
Starbucks,
coffee's hot. Give me a
50,000.
break.
Well,
And they-
that's a little.
Permanent damage to
You know,
his
if-
sensory something.
The McDonald's is a famous case, and it's a
And there
famous case in this lawsuits, and it stifled the ability to do lawsuits across from big organizations. I mean, it was really played out to drop the amount, the ability to wage lawsuits against big corporations,
Did he
and
win?
so
I don't remember.
they played on the idea of
Shame.
of spilling coffee on yourself is a silly thing to sue, but they did literally have scalding hot coffee
Yeah.
above the health code of the city,
And they had been warned.
and she ended up with a lap of coffee with third-degree burns on her on her legs.
Yeah.
And the whole sentiment of it's silly to spill coffee on yourself and expect to get paid for it was played up by the opposition so that they could fight this kind of
But it's
legislation.
because it was hotter than,
It was supposed to be.
Hotter
Yeah.
than legal.
yeah, okay. That
Yeah,
makes
and
sense
hotter
then.
than legal.
And it was a split thing. She was found somewhat responsible, and the McDonald's was found somewhat responsible. You know, like she put it between her legs. That was probably her problem, and McDonald's was on
Selling it
purpose
too hot.
running it
It's
too hot
yeah.
because they had been getting complaints of
It's-
people saying their coffee wasn't hot enough when they got down the road, so they jacked the temperature up, and they were told to knock it down.
So they should
they'd
have
been-
sued him because it wasn't hot enough down the road.
Yeah, there you go.
Jeez.
Well, what's frustrating about that is because it's not that, it's what that did to being able to file these kinds of cases. It really protected large organizations,
But
multi-million
Starbucks
dollar.
just lost.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Is it?
I mean, maybe it is it sets
So I
precedents.
have to go and get my lukewarm coffee because somebody spilled coffee.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
That
don't
sounds
know.
like a very I kind of attitude
It-
instead
it
of a
does,
we
doesn't
attitude. I mean, I gotta say, you're a good American.
Yeah, there you go.
What else do we got going on? Instead of the brain in the box, they call it the CL1. I think it's wild. Biological computers and quantum computers are the future, and they are happening right now. This isn't something you're imagining will happen or your grandkids are going to experience. This is happening right now. They've got biological computers and quantum computers.
When
What do you got, Bill?
Well, when you say right now, that's kind of interesting because I've got to the point in my life. I just had a birthday, so I'm
Oh, happy
a while.
belated birthday.
But yeah, thank you.
Wait, Bill's
No.
reminding me I didn't
No,
remind
I'm-
people it was his
I'm,
birthday.
I'm not
Happy birthday, Bill!
Just had it when?
13th.
On the
Okay.
13th.
Anyway, I've got to this point in my life. It's not quite to the point of don't buy green bananas. You understand that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, because you might not last long enough for them to ripen.
Oh,
But I see these announcements, interesting things being announced in the science world, and I've got to the point where I realize that I'm probably not going to see that when it happens. You know, like landing on Mars or whatever. That's too far in the future that I'm not going to survive
Probably
long.
not.
I'm to the green banana kind of part of my life, and that's sad
well,
because there's
Well,
a lot
it's
of things I'd
interesting.
like to see.
you know, you can relate to that. At the same time, things are happening so quickly and just right in
Yes.
front of us. It's
You may see it.
it's amazing what
may.
you. I mean,
That's
it's amazing
exactly
what
right.
you're already seeing. Like this whole AI thing, which has been such ridiculous smoke and mirrors and all that. But what it points to, if you look askewed at it, you've been looking at this kind of technology for years. It's been cleaning up your photos.
Incrementally coming on.
It's been understanding your voice as you're going speech to text. It's what made the iPhone's camera one of the best cameras, even though it had one of the worst sensors, is because they had a chip inside their computer dedicated to being smart about those photos, having a consciousness, not a consciousness, but a library of tricks that would fix scratches and dust and poor visibility, and you could take a crappy picture, and by running it through their system, you'd have one of the best pictures that's available. And it's only been in the last generation of iPhones that they've bumped the sensor. They bumped it from a 12 to a 40 megapixel sensor. If you live in the Android world, you've had 40 or more for a long time now. And the question is, why has Apple done this? Why have they all? And it's because of this AI feature that has existed
For
this
so
whole
long.
time that you guys have been using.
I want to know what happened to the system that used to, when you took a picture of a person, it would wait until they smiled before it took the picture. That was years ago. It was
Oh, yeah,
around.
no.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
You know, like
Well,
when you try and take a picture of your kid, and you could snap the picture, and it would wait until you smiled or not blink.
Or stop moving.
But that I haven't seen it.
I've
That's
never
interesting.
years.
Was that an Apple feature?
No,
It
it was
must
in
have
a,
been an
it was
Android
just,
feature.
It was in handheld cameras.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
You know,
See, like
remember
in
that.
Apple, you've got these live photos. See, so you can take a photo, and if you missed the smile, you can scroll back and
Yeah.
forth looking
hope
for
you
it.
see one.
Yeah.
Or see with no blink, no the eyes not closed.
One of the weirdest things I found myself recently using this kind of intelligence stuff for is getting data digitalized. I will see something, even if it's like on a menu or a piece of paper, and I need that information to be, and I don't want to type it out by rote. I can take a picture of it with my iPhone, and then I can tell the iPhone to look at it as text, and it will highlight the text area.
You can do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can copy that text and move it somewhere else.
Like
Make a
this
copy of
bathroom.
it somewhere else.
It's kind of like
So like if I
the
was looking at a
translate
menu-
function.
Yeah, I
camera
could,
lens.
if I was looking at a menu, I could take a photo
He's
and tell
talented.
it to
Well,
Did you
somebody else
To-
did.
as
Wait,
text.
you bring it up in
But
your
he
photo
did.
viewer,
Yeah.
The painting.
and when it
cabinets.
recognizes text in the
Yes.
photo,
It'll
it gives you a little text
Yes.
button.
Yeah.
And if you hit that, it will actually
Oh.
give you fields to select. And you can select and copy that and do something else for it with it.
You taught
That's
me a
really-
lot about copying stuff, which has made my life a lot easier.
Good. Well, yeah, so I think it's things like that are amazing to think about, because you look on the cusp of where we're going to be in technology, and it's like we need to look back at where we've been, because we're finally seeing some of this stuff come
into
to the light that we've been
really.
using the whole time. And I do think that we are going to end up with a little brain in the box circuits. I think that we're probably going to, well, not us, but I think that we're going to end up with these. They'll probably be called something like squishy circuits, right? And
Neuralink. I mean, that's what he's doing.
well, he's putting them in brains,
He's
but what I'm
implanted.
thinking of is brain cells in cars, in microwaves,
yeah,
in
yeah,
cell
okay.
phones. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
let's
thinking.
put
So
my
we're going to see
brain
next.
into my car.
No, not your brain,
Oh,
but brain
okay.
cells.
A squishy,
Using-
computer.
You grow brain cells specifically to process a specific kind of information, and that is a module that's added to some device that we are currently already know how to do, but we're incrementally improving it.
But don't the brain cells that they harvest from my brain have that information? So they are technically putting my brain into my car?
Well, I don't know about that.
I
I
want to
need an
know. I
interpreter
want to know
between
if you
my
have to
brain
take
and
care
my
of it like
husband.
those little Tamagotchi things or whatever it was. You had to feed it. You know, the little.
Oh, right.
You know,
Yeah.
You have to keep feeding the brain cells. You know, your Tamagotchi will die.
I wonder if you're describing car ownership in the future. That's how you'll get these people to do maintenance on their vehicles. It'll be like dying. It'll be a little icon there on the dash. And
Like
Yeah.
dying.
be skinny and shivering. It's
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
take me for an oil change.
A skeleton.
Well, our one GPS used to tell us, and we thought it was quite funny, if you went down the wrong way on a one-way street, it would say, "You're going down the wrong way."
Oh, we always get recalculating.
Oh, no, recalculating. But this one would tell you, little red box around saying you're on the wrong way down a one-way street.
You're doing it wrong.
And Google
Waze.
Maps has replaced the GPS systems.
Oh,
Little
yeah.
boxes we used to, I
Yeah.
don't use that anymore.
No, we don't use our GPS anymore.
Yeah.
We use Waze on here.
Yeah,
That's
or
way
Google.
better.
And Waze will actually tell you there's no way through.
Yeah,
Turn around. You can't get through.
or it tells you about accidents too,
Or-
doesn't it?
But
Police
Waze, don't you
ahead.
have to have it plugged in with the cord?
No,
No,
Waze.
no.
Yeah.
no, for power, it uses quite a bit of battery
Yeah.
power. You pretty much should keep it plugged in when we're
Well, I'm
traveling.
sure when we're traveling,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we do have it always plugged in.
We got the 15-minute warning on the meeting, and so if people will just help me remember to switch over before it gets too late.
Scott,
Judy
remember
does
to
that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Bill. I'm glad you're with us.
Thanks.
I did bring another article here about RCS messaging. Is there anyone here that isn't familiar with this change that's been happening?
I
And
had to look it up.
What's
Okay.
RCS?
I looked it up.
Rich Communication System, I think, is what it stands for.
I
The
think I heard about
what it is what you're familiar with from the days of flip phones when we would do 999-888 trying to type messages. We've been using a message system called SMS. It goes hand in hand with GSM. This kind of text messaging started out with the most rudimentary of hardware, and so it had no kind of security with it, no encryption. It was so lightweight that it wasn't built with any capacity to send things. So one of the most common indicators that you were on SMS would be you'd get a photo from, say, like an iPhone, and it would show up and it would be this fuzzy blob that you couldn't make out because it would have to be downgraded to such a low quality to be put through the messaging system, the cell messaging system.
Yeah.
So this has been a long standing issue. It's one of the reasons that people were driven to things like Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp. WhatsApp's beginning really started when it came with data for text messages, how much it would cost to per text message. That's really WhatsApp's beginnings in popularity outside the United States, because it was so expensive to send general text messages. General text messages would be SMS text messages. You literally get charged something like 10 cents a message. You guys probably all remember that.
Yeah.
I definitely remember that. That was an expensive time in communication. And so WhatsApp really got popular because in places like Mexico and Europe, they found that paying for data allowed you to send more information than paying for individual text messages. And so their robust texting experience started out on a completely different platform, independent really of the general texting telephone network that the cell network is. Apple, when they released the iPhone, made the decision to create their own messaging system, iMessage. Many of you that have had iPhones are very familiar with this. And because it was their own system and it wrote across their own data, and they would foot the bill for your iMessages. If you're on AT&T with one of their new iPhones that just came out, you would not be they charge you for every bit of data you used. There are people that would go to Europe with their phone on when these phones first came out. They'd come back with $1,000 bill because they didn't understand how much they were being responsible for. But the iMessages were covered by Apple. And so you could message and you could send a picture at the same cost, whatever it might be, for sending a text message in Apple's data network. You could do it from Wi-Fi and use your own home network. The only time that it turned into a text charge was when you started on the SMS network. If I needed to send to an Android phone, that was an SMS. That was how many text messages can I make on my phone. And the Apple from the beginning had such a small percentage of the market, that was very expensive. Most of the phones out there were flip phones and feature phones and soon to be Android phones, and they're all on this SMS network without security, without capacity, and very expensive. Now we cut to today. That same network is still being used until recently. Sometime in the last 2 years, this was put forth. There's actually a number of different messaging standards that have been put forth throughout the years by Google to replace SMS, and nobody's been able to agree on anything. So it's stayed this old messaging standard, which most people don't use unless they have an Android phone and live in the United States. This is the latest incarnation, and it has been adopted, and it is the new standard for text messaging, and it includes higher capacity and encryption. And if adopted, and has been adopted by Android, and this is an article saying that encryption is now finally going to be adopted by iOS for this standard. Now, going back to your iPhones, if you're an iPhone user, you can see this playing out with blue bubbles and green bubbles, and you've heard that discussion before. The blue bubbles are your Apple friends, and the green bubbles are the Android enemies that you have
How
to
do you
still...
know which one you're on?
Well, the green bubbles and the blue bubbles.
No, but I mean in Android.
Oh, you're not. If you're on Android, until recently, you've been on SMS.
Okay.
Even if you're interacting with an iPhone is having to downgrade to SMS to interact with
How
you.
do we change to the RCS?
So the RCS is changed by changing your system software. It's either going to be part of an update that's come to your phone, or you're going to elect to use a messaging platform that supports it to replace the messaging platform you're using on your phone. Now, a lot of recent Android phones will have whatever you're using as a messaging system updated to RCS at this moment. Mostly, if you're in a recent Android phone, you don't have to think about this. Your manufacturer is thinking about this right now. And so as long as you're receiving your updates, then this should be part of the updates that you get. On the Apple side of things, you don't have to think about it either, because it's an interconnect between Apple's messaging system and, instead of SMS, using RCS. And what this article is telling us, which Apple has kept fairly quiet, is that since their adoption of RCS, which is just barely over a year, they have not had encryption, one of the big features that we've wanted, so that we can have interconnection, security between different platforms, so that Android can message iPhone, and that conversation is secure between those 2 points, not to be seen by anyone else.
Which you have with WhatsApp.
Which you have with WhatsApp. WhatsApp has already filled that bill, if you've adopted to that bill. Fred, you're raising your hand?
I was going to ask you about WhatsApp, and somebody already did.
Somebody beat you to it. I'm going to go ahead and start up the next meeting if you guys want to meander into it, just so we don't run out of time. Yeah, so WhatsApp came to encryption much sooner than SMS did. And then Facebook Messenger came to encryption before SMS did. And the Google Meets that we do came to encryption. And Skype came to encryption. All these alternatives to the industry network standard came to security before SMS did. That's why this is so long in coming and a bit lukewarm, but it offers some great advantages to people that have an iPhone and are in a family of Androids, or vice versa. There's a family of iPhone users and there's a couple of Android users, because this means that, and this has been the case since Apple has adopted it, like I said, just over about a year or so. You can send long form video, a couple of minutes of video in your text message. You can send high quality photos in your text messages. These things you could not do. If your mom had an iPhone and you had an Android, you couldn't do it to them. They couldn't do it to you. You get these fuzzy pictures.
I just saw that Skype is getting ready to not be an option anymore.
Yeah.
What was it, May 5th, I think?
Fairly soon.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week.
Last time.
Yeah, that Skype, you're supposed to use Teams now, which seems horrible in my opinion, because so many people know the brand Skype, and Teams is really known as a collaboration business tool. Anyway, this is an article saying that Apple is about to put encryption finally. This was the last piece for making this a complete platform and framework for messaging. But it's competing with WhatsApp for the same people. And the question really is, WhatsApp is so insanely secure. Signal is insanely secure. The only thing I don't like about Signal is there isn't a way to easily guarantee that you don't lose your conversations while maintaining that security. They default on the side of being so secure you might lose things that you...
I like WhatsApp because if I go to more, I can export the chat and then save it as a file. So if I need to refer to it in the future, you promised me this, well, it's right here.
I like WhatsApp because it integrates into Google Drive or iCloud to host a backup of all your conversations encrypted so that no one can see it. Apple can't see what those conversations are, but they're hosted in iCloud so that if you need to reformat your phone, you can put WhatsApp on and restore from that backup. It's the one thing Signal's missing right now, and I'm certain it's intentional.
Now, if I have a list of people that I WhatsApp with, and there's some people on there that I don't know or I never don't use, how do I delete them? Go to my contacts?
Well, if you've got them in your contacts,
I don't think I do.
Yeah, but there are people that, have you given them names or they just...
They just kind of pop up.
Yeah, you can block them if that's the concern.
Yeah, I can try that. Yeah.
And you can archive those conversations too, so that, if there are things that are... They like I imagine, like you could be texting with Jonathan from representing Tequilas or one of the other services here in town. Maybe you don't want them popping up in your feed, but you still want to be on those groups. You could archive them, and so you would have to go after them to see them. They would fill up with the history, but you wouldn't have them in your view. I see Chester. Hey, Fred, why don't you move over to the other meeting at some point? We've got it sitting. Chester's already over there. So this is a great thing, this RCS messaging. You don't really need to do anything unless you're on an old Android phone. An old Android phone that is not getting updates, you're going to have to provide it with a messaging app that supports RCS for you to take advantage of this. I brought one more article that's just an interesting concept in batteries. We talk about batteries often. We should probably have a battery section at some point of our club. And this is just a new way of doing lithium chemistry. Actually, when I saw this, I was thinking of Chester because I knew he used to be in this industry. They have figured out a way to replenish lithium in a battery. Now, the key is the battery has to be built to be replenished to begin with. So we're not going to fix old batteries that already exist. But you can imagine a laptop battery or a cell phone battery that has been built so that you could buy a lithium rejuvenation kit. You syringe material into the battery and it would bring it back to 100% life. So that's what this article's all about, is the ability to rejuvenate batteries. But like I said, they don't have any technology for older batteries. Those just need to be chucked. But as we go forward in the future with lithium batteries, we may be building in this kind of this recycling mentality, this right to repair mentality, where even the battery itself, it's not a replacement, it's a rejuvenation.
Do you get like lithium poisoning if you injected it into yourself?
Probably.
Yeah.
Ask the butterfly guy.
Yeah, internet challenge.
You want to set up a challenge?
Yeah.
See what it does?
Here comes
Well,
Fred.
Don't bring these things up if you don't want them to come back.
Yeah, exactly. Shh. Don't give somebody an idea.
Right? Well, and I quite literally use injecting metaphorically, because
okay, it doesn't come like in an injectable.
yeah,
Kind of like that.
it isn't
stuff that you
even
bond together.
yeah.
You inject it.
Yeah.
this
yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
this isn't showcasing any particular technology for doing this, except showing that it can be done.
Can be done.
And so now engineers have to imagine how they might build a battery that would be one that could be rejuvenated in the future.
Did you see the article that they have discovered a site, I don't know where it is, with those minerals that they're trying to get from Ukraine? It's in the US, the site. I don't know where.
What?
Yeah.
Well, this mineral deal
Rare
that they've been
earth
trying to
minerals,
work out with
Work out.
well,
Huh.
blackmail away.
Yeah.
They're trying to blackmail away from the UK. I don't know, but that sounds, yeah, that's well, that's why sand batteries make a lot of sense. Sand batteries, yeah, it's something that's being done in Scandinavia. They have specialized sand that we were talking about this a few months ago, that can use alternative energy to heat. So you could use wind energy or wave energy to create an electric gosh, I've lost my English. I want to say stuff in Spanish now. Like an electric heater for sand. See you, Jim. So the basic concept is you have a vat of sand, and you use alternative energy to heat the sand. The sand's temperature dissipates at a slow rate, and you use that temperature to boil and make steam turbines that generate electricity.
It's like sodium battery or liquid sodium batteries, isn't it? These solar farms that store their heat in big tanks of liquid salt.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's the same concept
Same
as
kind
that.
of concept.
Yeah.
Only this is cheaper stuff and easier to handle.
Like I could imagine a neighborhood, like a gated community, where the regulations was every house has a solar panel, and then in the corner, or every so many hundred houses, there's a sand battery,
Yeah.
and they're just constantly heating up that sand.
Within any excess they have.
Right, just putting it into potential, and then that can stay hot for months because of the type of sand that's in it, and they use that heat to generate electricity. So it could be a self-sustaining neighborhood.
I can't find that article.
Well, oh, and a gravity battery. We talked about gravity batteries before. That
Yeah.
was very interesting, where you could set a weighted pulley system down a shaft. See you, Judy. We are
Bye.
funneling
Bye.
out of this meeting.
Bye, Judy.
Slowly shuffling out of this meeting.
Surely?
Slowly.
Shuffle.
Shuffling.
Surely sluffling.
We have reached the end of my
Of your expertise?
interests,
Oh,
the
your
things I've brought to share with you guys. What have I left on here, though? Oh, Jim has given me. I've left it on the document from last week, but this is in place of using track.com for your
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to check
I was
it out.
cursing
still.
you yesterday or the day before.
Oh yeah.
I
didn't
I hope
hear
it started with Jesus Christ.
no,
No, God help me.
no,
No,
no, you.
you don't give me the reverence I expect.
I I got hooked on Silo. I reached the end of it, and there's no series no season.
It's not ready
Oh,
yet.
Not ready yet.
It's not ready yet.
You asshole.
It's not ready yet. Well, now you got to do the books. The
Well,
Wool is the first book, and it's a really easy. Well, I read it as an audiobook, but it's a really easy
Where'd you
audiobook.
find the audio book?
I borrowed it from my library,
Oh,
my city library. I actually read them out of order, in order of availability,
yeah.
and so I ended up reading books 1, 2, and 3 in the order 3, 2, 1.
Well, probably made just as much
Yeah, in
sense.
your case, you're just getting the backstory.
That's really, I mean, I'd already seen both seasons of Silo. I'm like, so I mean, I'm just catching
So,
up.
do you go to the end of the book like?
No, I'm not that kind of person, but I'm also very cheap. I'm not going to buy the book. My
Yeah.
library had it out of order, so I just listened to it out of order.
I'll check my library. They might have.
And what's interesting, if I listened to the books. I want to say read. I feel like I read, but I listened.
Yeah.
I think it counts, but it always trips me up. Reading to me should be a visual thing for
I
some
can't
reason.
listen to books. I fall asleep.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that too.
Well, in the Silo series, the first book, which I finally got to, very much represents the first season and large portions of the second season.
Oh, okay.
The third book, I swear, is part of the second season. The second book is like all the background information. If you really want to spoil this show, you read the second book, because everything is released to you. Every secret everything that you were wondering about. And I think what they did when they made it a TV series is they said, we're not using very much from the second book. We're going to keep the mystery going so we can get some real seasons out of this show. Because it's the second book,
If
you
do the
find
second
out.
book, you're done.
Yeah, well, the second book, you know why you're underground,
Well, maybe I'll just read the second book. To hell with the rest.
There you
right?
go.
Well,
Bye. See
well,
you next week.
Cole's notes. Cole's notes.
And quite literally, the second book feels like a whole different story. It leads up to the first book,
Right.
right? It starts back in the past, moves to the future, bounces around 200-300 years of drama happening
I'm
at
just
different
gonna
time
go back
periods.
to my original statement. You asshole.
It's really good stuff. It's
Yeah.
good.
Oh yeah.
It is the one thing about the wonderful quality of a lot of television series now.
Oh God.
Then you wait 2 or 3 years before another
Yeah.
group of
The series season
drops.
comes out.
and by the time I've waited 2 years,
I've forgotten
I don't
all
know
of
if
it,
I'm
the
coming
first
back to
part
it or
of it.
not. It's just-
Well, I think you're too anxious because
No.
you've just hit two seasons. You didn't have to wait for the second season.
But it's incredible. The whole thing is videoed or filmed in this dark kind of color. Everything's fuzzy dark. Their lighting is just, well, it goes along with the whole story, obviously.
Yeah,
But
the palette.
when you watch it on a computer, it gets darker somehow, and then you can hardly see anything in some of the scenes.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is
It's
the
like-
case on some of this
It's
stuff.
like what would you call it? Not Lord of the Rings, but
Oh, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. Some of those scenes, you can't see
Can't
anything.
see anything, yeah. I am not the kind of person that reads a book and then goes and sees the movie. I'm the kind of person that if there's a movie, I'll skip the book.
Yeah.
And if people are complaining about the movie because of the book, I think they've done it wrong, because it was a great movie, it had great special effects, good characters. Right?
So why bother?
So why bother? This series, however, is so captivating that I've gone back and read these
Read
books,
all 3 books.
and I was very impressed. Reflecting back on the way it was shot, what you're saying, the immensity of the silos, while maintaining that claustrophobic dark,
Yeah.
is exactly what's portrayed in the book. That you in the book they talk about how very big these things are. There's like 10,000 people
Yeah.
per silo, and I'm really impressed by the production of the TV show. I feel like it shows that. You see how tall these things are, even though it's dank and
How
dark.
deep, not tall,
Yeah,
deep.
how deep. Sorry, deep. And the second book goes really into the engineering and the thinking that went into it.
Okay,
to begin with.
okay. I'll read the damn things. Or I'll listen to them if I can find.
Yeah, find an audio book of them. They're great. They're great entertainment on. I guess that's my recommendation for the book is
Yeah, there you go.
is the Silo series, and they're not called Silo unless you're getting them after the TV series. They're the first one's called Wool, another one is called Shift. I think that's the second one, and then the third one I'm forgetting the name of.
I found them on Pirates Bay.
Yeah,
There's a torrent. I'm pretty sure I found the 3 books, but I don't know if I found audiobooks. I don't think so.
it's sure a great example of just they've done something really well with this franchise.
All right. I guess I'm going to have to go watch it.
Silo.
Well,
All right,
be prepared to be bored out of your tree for the first 3 or 4 episodes.
there
Just
is
sort
some
of-
world building that's going on in the
Yeah.
first couple of episodes.
And then you just sort of, it sucks you in like quicksand and slowly pulls you in. And then you're hooked. You're done.
I got started on The Old Man. Have you guys watched that? It's streaming on Disney.
I don't think I've started the second season of it.
I haven't gotten that far. Yeah, I'm just probably episode 6.
This is Jeff Bridges
Yeah.
and John
And John Lithgow.
Lithgow. Yeah, it's exceptional. It's really well done.
The Old Man.
The Old Man, yeah.
I
Old like CIA operatives.
Oh, okay.
And a kind of a Taken situation.
Oh.
The Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
It's
I
kind
will
of that.
find
Special
I will
set of
find
skills.
That's right. It's a special set of skills from somebody that's been off the grid for a long time.
Right.
But yeah, it's an excellent show. Another one that's excellent that's been in my circle recently has been Landman.
Yeah,
I mentioned it
I
before.
started watching it. I kind of got away from it.
I watched all the way through. That's a good example. I was completely and totally hooked. It's a world I know something about, so it was particularly interesting to me. And then it's gone. And it's going to be a year or 2 before it comes back.
In that case, I'm not going to go back and watch it for a while.
Might as well wait.
But
Get 2
if
seasons
there
out of
we're
it.
back to the green bananas thing.
Yeah.
All right, Jonathan, we're ready for Emily Perez.
Oh, I don't want to talk about
Oh,
Yeah,
come
don't,
on.
don't. No, don't.
No,
No.
he's got to give us his rant.
Oh
No, I
God.
got to hear it.
it. You liked it.
Well, I
Oh
tell you
God.
what,
He
In
accused
fact,
you. He didn't ask the question. He accused you.
Yeah, it was not a.
That wasn't a question.
no,
Well,
You
no,
liked it.
tell him if you
I'm
really,
curious.
you're furious.
No, I'm curious.
No,
I'm
I think he
curious.
said furious.
He was furious earlier.
Yes.
I was serious, but I'm curious now to hear what you gotta say about it.
Let's not even go there. I'm more interested in what your thoughts were. I watched it late at night
Were you on drugs?
or early in the morning. No. But, so it was a totally different experience. Tell me what you thought.
Well, long story short, I hated it because the plot is not a good plot.
No, it wasn't, and it wasn't very well done. I agree with all of that. But I just thought the premise was unique.
May I ask you why?
Well, the whole idea of a rough and tumble cartel guy going through a transgender issue at the same time was just.
I haven't
Well-
seen this movie, but I'm curious. Was the transition a sexual thing or a hiding from the law kind of thing?
Sexual
No, it was
thing.
definitely.
He faked his death
Right.
and he transitions. She kidnaps a lawyer to help him do the transition.
But it starts out as like a body dysphoria thing. It's like he has that's part of his
Yeah, it was definitely
character
a body
is.
dysphoria.
Yeah.
He,
Okay. I just wanted to be
she
clear
was
on what
born
that is.
in his body,
Right.
and she needed to get out.
Okay.
But I think that's the part that I don't agree because if it's something that he wanted to do or whatever, but like that doesn't change the fact that he killed thousands of people.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And by the end of the movie, they make her a saint.
Well, yeah,
That's
and they are
interesting.
singing like, "Oh, she's the best."
Another thing, I
That
have
was
not
probably
seen
late-
this
early
movie.
in
I've
the
just
morning,
listened
and
to
I'm-
you talk about it and a little bit of what Jim's talked about. But
And
the other question is, when they made her a saint, were they aware of her background?
Not everybody.
So people that were unaware of her being part of the cartel.
Yeah, it's because like
So that's hidden from
he
people.
faked his death.
Hmm.
He came back as a woman, and he started like a movement to find the bodies of missing people that he killed. So he knew where those
He
bodies
knew where they were to begin
so,
with.
So everybody was like, "Oh, she's so magnificent because she's doing that."
No, she's
But
the one that
you
killed them.
were the one.
Yeah.
And that for me made the conflict. And I
mean-
like musicals, but the music was dumb.
It was dumb.
Like there's one
That was
part,
the genre.
there's one part where she's like, "Oh, they asked me why I don't have my law office," and she's a really good lawyer, and it's like, "Oh, it's because I'm black," and then if the movie's in Mexico, we
Yeah.
don't care about black or white, like maybe in the
Well,
United States
yeah,
there
not
are
like
some
the
racial
United
things,
States.
but
Yeah.
in Mexico, it has nothing to do
non-issue.
race to have a good employer job or not. And first of all, it was not like it was just like 10% of the movie was filmed in Mexico.
I was gonna say that was one of the things you said
And they
earlier.
just put that that kind of yellowish tintage to make it look like it's desert kind of stuff.
Well, and then you also
And
told
when
me
you hear like they don't speak they speak Spanish, but like if you try to speak
like gringo Spanish.
Gringo Spanish.
Yeah.
So that took me off, and then
You said that they didn't have any Mexicans.
It's for example, if I saw a Japanese movie and they were bad actors, I would be like, it's okay because I don't know
Japanese.
Japanese,
Right.
and I don't know.
You need
like,
subtitles or
yeah, and a
dubbed
lot
or-
of people praise it, but everybody who is Mexican who knows Spanish, oof. Oh, no.
Well, and again, you said I don't know this. You told me this earlier. They didn't hire any Mexicans
No.
to make this Latin movie.
I'm gonna have to go back.
And I know that it's not an obligation to do so, but
Well, it's a little offensive though.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
we,
yeah, it is.
We don't care, but hire an American that can voice Mexican. You know, like
Well,
like
there-
like for example, Hugh,
and-
Hugh Jackman, he's Australian, but he can do an American
They-
accent, and I believe it. But I hear Selena Gomez saying, "Oh, me cortaron el dinero, la lana no la encuentro."
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
what,
you understand what I mean?
No.
what you're saying it makes perfect sense. Work for the authenticity.
Yeah,
Be
okay,
authentic.
if you're not gonna use Americans,
This
Yeah.
is
give them 6 months of
this is a
Dialogue.
dialogue coaching.
Yeah,
This
dialogue
is a
coach.
throwback
or
to old
something like
American
that.
movies where they used white guys for the Indians.
Right? Well, they used Italian white guys.
Yeah, Italian white guys. So they had dark skin, I guess. I don't.
Sergio Leone.
Yeah.
No, I
that-
just
that's
find
why
it-
I'm telling you, it's not. I don't care about race. But I like movies. I like good performances,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you didn't feel you had
and the
that. That's-
performances were horrible, and the music were not. There's another movie, Onsha, I think it's called, or Anisha. I don't. I'll let you know what the movie is called.
Okay.
It's another one that was nominated. I saw that other movie. Good music, good acting, good everything. Did not win anything.
Right. But then
And-
that Russian movie, that was amazing on the Oscars. That Honora
Yeah.
got so many. I mean, that feels political. That
Boy, me too.
just-
Glenn and I watched that and just kind of, well,
because I saw parts of that
Well,
movie. My wife
was it
watched that
good?
movie. No, I mean
No.
it was the kind of movie that would be. It would be at a movie theater for a week or two, maybe.
Yeah.
It would not get in the top 10. It would be sitting in a small screen. It would maybe it'd even just go to video, depending on
Yeah.
its distribution. and-
just straight to.
yeah, I mean,
like,
not a bad movie, but not an Oscar-winning movie.
No.
Oh yeah,
Not a
and that's the other thing for
But you know
Emilia
what?
Perez.
What's interesting
She
about
got the same like nominations of Oscars as Lord of the Rings, and that to me is
crazy.
crazy.
well, that's what's crazy. The girl that played in the Sonora got best actress
In Honora.
in Honora,
Hmm.
which everybody thought Demi Moore was getting snubbed for The Substance. We know how you feel about The Substance.
I love the acting of.
She did a great job.
Yeah.
The movie.
just
I
a
hated
horrible
it,
movie.
But the acting.
Yeah, she.
Well, and I could understand Demi Moore getting snubbed for another actress's role, but this woman was the only American in this Armenian-Russian production. She was the one American
the
they
only
hired
one,
for this Armenian-Russian production, and she wins best actress. We don't know her from anything else.
No.
And she's best actress this year. It's
And,
just feels very strange.
It does. And,
And yeah, and Emilia Perez won best song. I don't remember what was the song, but it was so stupid song. When it competed with Wicked from
Yeah.
the Wizard of
Oh, yeah,
Oz.
yeah.
I did not see the full movie, but I heard the song that competed against Emilia Perez, and you know that it was like, oh, we're gonna give it to this other people because it has wokeness. on
That's-
board. Because
It-
the Wicked song, the notes,
oh, yeah.
like wow,
Very impressive.
and this actress Sofia Rascon, who is a transgender Spanish, not Mexican, she's from Spain. It was like the Undertaker trying to sing a song.
It- it's
No,
interesting
no,
these
it's,
two movies we're talking about because they really feel
We're still
like
working on it?
different poles in our political system right now. It feels like this Emilia Perez really represents kind of the woke agenda, that kind of the open liberal kind of way we should be thinking right now about things. But it's not that great of a movie, according to Jonathan. I haven't seen it yet.
No.
And I'm not-
Basically, the message is like, oh, if you are a bad person, just become a woman, and then all your things disappear.
That's the part
There's
that
no-
bothers me
there's
too
no
hearing this story.
accountability.
Yeah.
The transgender cartel member that becomes woman, he kidnaps the lawyer, and then she lives with them. She never tried to escape.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, doesn't make sense to me,
Well, and then
Like,
and then this
I understand that there could be some movie plots, holes that you can be like, I can, I can get by with it. But then you're like seeing stuff like, it's because
Well, there are really good. There are really good movies out there.
I remember when I stopped watching the movie, the transgender guy wants to get back to his kids, but he doesn't tell them that he's his father, so he becomes his granny, his babysitter.
Oh, Fred
And-
just
and
left
the
us.
kids-
Bye, Fred. I
and-
guess we're done with this
Yeah, I think
meeting.
we're done.
We're just talking it out. You know what? I'm going to shut down this stream. Thank you
Yeah.
for being with
Goodbye,
us.
everybody.
This is the San Carlos Computer Club. We meet every Tuesday at Tequilas. If you want to hear more on Jonathan's rants about movies, this is the
Well-
place to look.
Well, I can recommend you really good other movies that I saw.
Yeah.
Do you want more coffee?
So,
or
Jimmy-
you
No,
good,
I'm
or-
good. Thank
Out of
you.
here.
We're out.
All right. Until next Tuesday, everybody, tech on.